Hey everyone, my name is Chloe, and today I'm here to do the 54321 book tag. So I have seen this tag going all over the place. I wasn't tagged specifically by anybody, but I just think it's so fun. I want to know your answers. I want to know all my favorite creators' answers. I just want to know. So I figured I would share mine, and you guys could share your answers with me. So let's just get into it. So I'll try to link down below the original creator if I can find it. I'm not sure who it was, but I'll find it. So the first one is 5 latest 5-star reads or books I love. So you guys know I don't give out 5 stars like ever. Most of the time, if I do, it is either memoirs or like middle grade books. And so we're just going to do the 5 latest books that I've loved. So The Arrangement by Kiersten Modglin. I read that. It is a short thriller about a husband and wife who make an arrangement that they can both see other people one night a week, no strings attached. And it's supposed to spice up their marriage. Of course, things go wrong. Like I said, I think it's a thriller and lots of twists and turns. There is a second and third one. I would say probably just stick with the first. The first is by far the best. Second and third are just okay. I did like the third more than the second, so you make the call if you continue. Next is These Things Hidden by Heather Gudenkauf, and this is one that I really don't want to say like anything about. It's about 2 sisters and a whole lot of different things going on. There's motherhood, there's sisterhood, there's just a lot of stuff going on. Heather Gudenkauf is one of my favorite authors. She writes like not necessarily thrillers, but like domestic dramas that aren't really thrilling, but they're hard-hitting. And I like hard-hitting women's fiction, maybe. Maybe that's a good way of putting it. So I loved that book and would definitely recommend. Next is Saving Noah by Lucinda Berry. So you guys have probably heard me rave about this one. This one is a gut punch, like a gut punch. So it's marketed, I think, kind of as a thriller, but again, it's like an emotional drama with like creepy elements. So this is it's told mostly from a mother's perspective. Her son is just getting released from a like prison or correction center or something because he admitted to molesting some of the kids he was doing swimming lessons with. So now we get her perspective of what's going on after, and then we also get bits of his perspective of like during his time incarcerated. And it is hard. It is like definitely makes you question what would you do as a mother, kind of what would you do for your kids, what do you do for the sake of protecting them? Like, it's so good. So good. Then I read, my other one is The Unplanned Life of Josie, Hale by Stephanie Eding. So this one is just a really cute kind of romance women's fiction. So this woman, she is pregnant. She got pregnant by her husband, and she were like a last ditch effort to try to save their marriage. And then it ended up not working. The next day he was like cheating with somebody else. So their marriage is dissolved, and she goes down to the county fair because she is just craving fried food. And I read this obviously while I was pregnant, and there's so many foodie references in this, it will make you want junk food. So just a heads up. But she runs into some high school friends, and one of them she had a crush on forever, and one was a really good friend. And so the 3 of them decide, like, the guys live together, and so they're like, hey, come live with us. It'll make our rent cheaper. She's currently living with her parents, so she's like, okay. And so her high school crush has like an 11-year-old daughter, because these people are like early 30s. And so I think it's 11, 12, a high school romance that has turned into a daughter. So we're trying to navigate that. She's pregnant. There's just a lot going on, but like the found family element in this book is strong. They are all like there for each other as if they're siblings, family, whatever it may be. And I loved that. I loved how these guys were like strong guys, but also just like so caring and kind to her, and like her baby was their baby, and it was just so cute. So I would highly recommend. And then lastly is Ain't That a Mother by Adiba Nelson. So this is it's a memoir about a woman who she is an advocate for cerebral palsy because she has a daughter with cerebral palsy. But this book is about so much more than that. Like, I loved, as a mother, like advocating for your kid, and I loved learning about cerebral palsy a little bit and all of the things about that. But this is also about breaking generational trends and how hard that is. And she is a Black woman, and just how hard that is. And like there's just so many things that like she reads the audiobook by like herself, so I would definitely recommend the audio if you can, because there are times where she gets choked up that I couldn't help but like get choked up too. And and there's times where she's laughing and I'm laughing, and it was just so good. I would highly recommend. So those are my 5 latest 5-star or like very favorite reads of this year. There's been more, but those are my 5. And then 4 auto-buy authors. So Diane Chamberlain, she is an auto-buy author. She has been writing forever, and her books are always great. I feel like they are also kind of that hard-hitting women's fiction, and they normally make you think about things. With that, I could say Jodi Picoult, but I'm not going to. I'm trying to stay away. Diane Chamberlain is probably the most popular author on this list, because I'm trying to stay away from, like, I could say Catherine Center, I could say Taylor Jenkins Reid, all of those, but I'm trying to stay away from uber popular. So then I will say Lisa Genova. So Lisa Genova, I can't remember what her profession was before she started writing, but I think she was some sort of neuroscientist or something. I could be making that up, so don't quote me, but she writes a ton of books about really interesting topics. So there's been a couple different like ones about different medical conditions, and it's done in a contemporary way, so it's definitely not super sciencey, but it really makes you think about things. And there's one about like Alzheimer's. They're just, I've never read about one by her, and I love her. Next is Renee Carlino. She writes some really emotional romance. I could also say Brittany C. Cherry. She writes very similar, not very similar, because Brittany C. Cherry is definitely more in the YA realm, or else a combo YA and adult. But Renee Carlino, she's had a couple flops, but for the most part, she writes really good emotional romance. Then Tracy Garvis Graves. So her backlist is not super huge, but she has written some of my favorites. And On the Island, I really liked. Everything I've read by her, I really like. Again, romance, but with a lot more deeper elements. And so they kind of toe the line between romance and women's fiction, which are my favorite. So 3 genres I'm loving. So I will always love romance and women's fiction. I will always love thrillers. But specifically right now, I'm really loving nonfiction. This point in life, we have a baby in the NICU. We have just a lot of chaos in our lives, and our other 2 girls were late. We had to induce. They were full term. They were big, healthy babies. And so this NICU stuff is a whole new ballgame for us, and trying to navigate that is a whole new ballgame for us. And the way I deal with new things is by reading a ton. So I've been reading a lot of nonfiction, both like memoirs of moms who have been in this position, information about like preterm birth and what that looks like, information about her different, her condition that she's got, and just all the things about that. And then also I've been reading a lot of like Christian nonfiction, because when things are really hard and stressful, I really want to control everything. And it is so helpful for me to remember that like I'm not the one in control. That's not my ability, and it's also not my responsibility to control things. God's got it in control, and that's really freeing. And I need that reminder like constantly that God's got this. And so nonfiction has been really comforting. Also, I've been reading more YA and contemporary lately, just because that is something you can read, or I can read really like almost mindlessly, and they're really generally pretty wholesome, clean, like simple plots that just keep you entertained. And so I like that a lot. I definitely go through phases of liking that and not liking it, but right now I'm in a phase of liking it. So that's more than 3, but so it goes. 2 places I love to read. So my favorite place to read is on the go. Like if I'm in a coffee shop, if we're on a long road trip, if we're just on the go, I love to read. Now that is definitely different as a parent, because you've constantly got little voices and people to take care of and things. So I don't get to do that often, but that if I had my ideal situation, on the go would be my place to read. Or like in a coffee shop is like prime time, because I love the background noise, and I love like life going on around me, but not like life that I have to pay attention to, you know? So, love that. Also, like on the couch while watching sports, I love that. Again, different as a parent, because there's never like quiet, peaceful times. But before we had kids, it was like we would turn on a football game or a baseball game or something, and I would read during commercials or just kind of listen to the game in the background. And that is one of my favorite things ever. Realistically, the most places I read now are in the chair at the NICU or in my bed after the kids are asleep, or because she is such a preemie, she was born at 31 weeks and 5 days, so she can't nurse or anything. So I'm pumping a lot. And so while I pump, I read. So those are where I actually read, but my ideal places are on the go and while watching sports. And then one book I promise to read soon. So I'm going to say The Prisoner by B.A. Paris. This doesn't come out until November, but I have an arc on NetGalley. And B.A. Paris is one of my all-time favorite, if not my all-time favorite, thriller authors. I love her, so that she could be another auto buy too. But so I promise I'm going to read that soon. I'm going to try to wait till closer to November just so I'm not super early on the release date, but I can't wait. So that is the 54321 book tag. I'm not going to tag anybody because I don't know who's done it, and I don't want to put pressure on anybody. But if you are watching this and want to answer the questions, please do. I will leave them down below. If you are a creator and will make this video, leave me your link down below to your video because I would love to see it. So that is everything. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.